and welcome to the in-news series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja Dwivedi, and in this segment today we are going to discuss about the coal worries or woes of India. Now this topic is very important from the perspective of prelims and also from the perspective of mains. From the perspective of mains, GS mains paper 2 and 3 can be covered. Let's move on and talk about the news. Now, India has asked the private sectors and the states to make sure that they have imported 19 million tons of coal by end of June in order to make sure that the mix of domestic coal and imported coal lasts for the next 6 years. As the economy is trying to recover back post-pandemic and the incessant heat waves have occurred, it makes it impossible for India to lose its interest in coal and continue with renewable energy for at least the short-term period. Now, looking at this, we have to at least know about the coal in India. In India, the energy needs which are fulfilled by coal is approximately 55%. Coal is used for many things, from making steel to generating electricity. Generating electricity is the biggest demand right now. And most of the time, India has, of course, relied on indigenous coal. If we talk about the colonial times, since colonial times it has happened, but India is the second largest importer of coal. Why? Because of the lack of proper or high quality coal. And older Gondwana formations of peninsular India, also the younger tertiary formation of northeastern India, makes the coal deposits or coal reserves to be restricted to only central and eastern areas, south central areas and eastern areas. Okay, now moving on, if we talk about the coal reserves in India, coal reserves in India are found in many states, but proper coal reserves, if I'm talking about high quality coal reserves, are restricted to a very important union territory, that is Jammu and Kashmir. Now, in India, we have 4 types of coal. Anthracite, this is a very high grade coal, very high fixed carbon, and it is found just in Jammu Kashmir. Okay. Also, if we talk about the other one, which is bituminous coal, it is also a high quality coal and it is mostly used for generating electricity. Okay, so we commonly use bituminous for energy generation. Now, this is found across the states of Odisha, Jharkhand, West Bengal, also Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh. Then we have lignite. Subbituminous is also there. After bituminous, then we have lignite. Lignite coal are low grade coal, and 90% of lignite is found in Tamil Nadu. Apart from Tamil Nadu, lignite is also found in Rajasthan and Jammu Kashmir. Okay, so let's move on and talk about our next segment, that is coal reserves. Now, if we talk about coal reserves in India, it is found in the states of from highest to the lowest. We go from Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh. Then we have Telangana, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and the rest. So you have to tell me in the comment segment, although these states are the highest reserves, have the highest reserves of coal, but which states are the highest producers? Tell me the top 5 states. Moving on, if we talk about the shortage, the issue of shortage, it is not all of a sudden. As you see, this news piece is from 2021, which has suggested that India's coal production drops marginally by 2% to 760 million tons. Now, this is something that has been there with respect to transition of energy from coal sectors to renewable energy sector. India is trying to reduce its dependence on coal due to environmental reasons, and that is why it can be cited that not this significant shortage is because of that, but marginal shortage might be because of renewable energy transition. Now, let's move on to the next thing that we have to discuss very briefly from the perspective of means why is there a shortage? First, because we have critically low levels of stock. 108 out of 173 thermal power plants are lacking proper coal stock. Also, economic recovery post-pandemic is driving the high demand for coal because of energy. Then we also have heat waves. The heat waves have driven the entire country to rely on air conditioning, refrigeration, and the rest. So in order to generate this amount of energy, because this becomes a vicious cycle, because in order to have a proper cooling effect from the climate change, we will rely on such things for the short period of time. So because of that, high power generation is needed. Then high international prices of coal has led to the importing sectors, import-based thermal power plants, to not buy coal because of the Russian-Ukrainian war. Also, the poor performance of discoms. Discoms are already in a huge loss. So because of that, they are unable to resume to provide power at a higher rate. Okay. Also, large outstanding dues of certain states such as Jharkhand and Maharashtra, it is causing a lot of stress on discoms. Also, the railways is unable to provide coal on a timely basis. Now, railways will prioritize the provision of coal other than the rest of the things. So, these are the things that we have to be careful about. The states which have been impacted the most are, in terms of shortage percentage, we have Jharkhand at the top, such an irony, you know. Then we have Rajasthan, Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh, Haryana, Bihar, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh is also there. Then we have Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh and Meghalaya. Moving on, let's talk about what is to be done. First, as I told you, the government has said that the central government has told the states and the private sector entities to import coal in such a manner that domestic and imported coal mixture can last for the next 6 years, and it has given a target of 19 million tons of coal for the next by the end of June. Okay, so first that we have to increase our import, that means that we have to make sure we have enough forex reserves. This is the chart that is going to tell you that which state has been asked to allocate how much of its funding with respect to importing of coal. Maharashtra, then Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and so on. Also, the private sector entities, you see Adani Power has given the most of the burden with respect to importing of coal. Other than that, we have JSPL, Tata Power, Vedanta, and the others. Moving on, if we talk about conclusion, first conclusion is, because of the impending monsoon, Railways has to make clear that it provides and it transports the adequate amount of stock of coal wherever it is needed, because when it comes to monsoon, it becomes really hard to transport coal. Other than that, we have to rein in renewables for the longer period of time. This is something that India has to learn. We cannot put all our eggs in one basket, all our energy needs in oil or crude oil, or all our energy needs in coal. So we have to make sure we rein in the renewables. We make sure that there is a legislation, a predetermined framework for residential area, for institutes institutes to have a mixture of energy. We can have a legislation with respect to asking the residential states to residential areas to have this much of grid connectivity for solar energy, for wind energy, and the rest from the conventional electric supply. So these kind of policies will work. Smart grids that are connected through solar panels is something that India can do with respect to having private sectors to invest in the affordability of the important equipments for solar material. This is very important, because in May, June, the power demand will rise approximately 215 to 220 gigawatt. This is the amount of power generation that we need for the upcoming months. So this is something that India has to think through. Now, as I told you that yesterday I asked you a question in the last in your series about the important prelims alert. I'm going to take the names of those who have answered it correctly, okay? And today also I asked you about this question, the largest producer of coal. You have to write the names of those states, and then I will take the names of those who have answered it correctly. Okay, so the segment was Charak oath issue, Charaka oath issue. Then we have Nepal was the correct answer. So we have Dinesh Pradhan who has answered it correctly. Then integrity talks, Then we have Anita Paraja, Nagendra Tiwari has answered it correctly. Pallavi has answered it correctly. Then we have Mr. Kavish answering it correctly. Then Raghavanel, and then Bismal Prasad has answered it correctly. Jackie Gupta, Satyabrata Padi, then we have Rashmi Yadav, and then Jas Singra and Para SF. Puneet Sharma has answered it correctly. Nibha, Swati, Mini Sharma, Mehul, Sumit, and then Vicky Kumar has answered it not correctly. It's actually Nepal, not Afghanistan, not an issue. Answer correctly about the next question, okay? Then we have Koyal answering it correctly and Niklaus Mikkelsen answering it correctly. So that's it for today. Let's move on to our question, right, for the mains. What are the major factors impacting India's transition to a greener and cleaner economy? We have to analyze. So answer it, try to write an answer about it. That's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.